friends. I hope you're doing really well today. Last week on our drive down to Florida, we were coasting smoothly along on a nice, clear, open expressway through Jacksonville, when suddenly I found myself winding down an off-ramp onto a surface street and into the middle of a rough-looking neighborhood. And I turned to my wife and exclaimed, "How did we get here?" And she looked at me with this bewildered expression on her face and said, of course, "Honey, I have no idea. Where did you go?" That's when I noticed this giant, ugly detour sign. I think they make those signs deliberately ugly so that we can't miss them, but apparently I had missed the big, giant detour signs. And the detour was unplanned, unexpected, and sort of unsettling. Has God brought you through a detour lately? Maybe you feel like you're in a detour right now that's unplanned, unexpected, and maybe a little unsettling. You see, we can have these schedules that we build for ourselves, plans that we design for our lives, details, a ministry idea, a business plan, relationship ideas that we might have, how to build a relationship with a girlfriend or something like that. And then God sends us on this detour and we go, "How did I end up here? What are you doing, God?" But God sends us on detours with His purpose, always with this purpose in mind, that He's going to produce in us and through us what we could never see or achieve on our own. And all the while, you and I might be shouting out, "How did I end up here?" But the Bible is full of stories of people going on detours planned by God, redirections that they didn't schedule for themselves, that they didn't plan out for themselves. The Apostle Paul had this driving desire to go to Rome, to testify of the gospel of Jesus Christ before Caesar. And finally, in Acts chapter 27, the long-awaited, anticipated trip comes. He has set sail for Rome. But then suddenly, storm after storm after storm redirects their voyage, and then a storm gets so fierce that their ship is wrecked on a reef off the coast of a small island called Malta. But God is working. It's a detour. They can't go anywhere. Their ship is destroyed. But through that, the Apostle Paul has the opportunity to demonstrate and proclaim the power and the gospel of God to the sailors and also to everyone on Malta. It says this in Acts chapter 28, after the Apostle Paul goes and prays for the father of the governor of this island, a man named Publius. It says this: after this had happened, the rest of the people on the island who had diseases were coming to him and getting cured. They also honored us with many marks of respect. This is now verse 10 of chapter 28. And Luke wrote, "And when we were setting sail, they supplied us with all we needed." Now looking back through history, we find out that Publius, the governor of Malta, later became the first bishop of the church in Malta and became a martyr for Christ. Today, Malta has perhaps the highest percentage of Christians out of any nation in the world. Some 98, 99% Christian. God is working out in us and through us what we could never produce or achieve on our own through the detours. I heard one pastor say this, that waiting time is not wasted time. God's delays are not God's denials. God is working in and through the detour, even though it may be frustrating. You might be tempted to get angry at it. You might be really upset with God by the detour. You say, "Hey God, why are you doing this? This didn't fit my plan. This didn't fit my schedule. I thought my plan was better than yours, God, or that you were going to adopt my plan. Why is this happening now? This doesn't make sense." But God is working through the detours. And He's going to do in you and through you what you can never achieve on your own. And all the while, God is standing back and saying, I have a plan. My plan is to conform you to the image of my Son, Jesus Christ. the great missionary to orphans George Mueller said this in the margin of Psalm 37, verse 23. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and so are the stops. God causes us to stop, to wait. Sometimes it might look like you're in a holding pattern, circling in the air, but God is working out a process in that to produce through you what you can never achieve on your own. For His glory, for your good, to conform you to the image of His Son. And so today, God is calling us to embrace the detour. Don't resist it, don't get angry at it. And then number 2, don't just embrace it, but accept the process. Each step, trust that God is guiding your steps in this detour, even though it might bewilder you. Accept the process and then enjoy the journey. Laugh a little bit. God's in control. He's doing this for your good. And it's to conform you to Christ, conform me to Christ. Waiting is not wasted time. God works through the steps and the stops of those who follow Him. So trust in the detour today. God is doing a good work in and through you for His glory and for your good. God bless you today.